Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug. Streaming live on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure, all Bookmap Ltd materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure, trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's my contact information. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. Also in Bookmap Discord, there's an Options-Doug chat channel. That's a great place to post questions, comments, and content related to the topics of my presentation and the topics of the channel that I'll go through in just a moment. I'm also on X, formerly known as Twitter. My name there is @DougPless. And before I go any further, I do need to make a couple of announcements. There are two competitions going on with Bookmap right now. First of all is the Blue Jacket competition. Here's the link, and you can also scan this code with your phone for more information. So that's the Blue Jacket competition starting June 10th. And then there's also a crypto competition. And that also starts June 10th. Here's the link and also the QR code that you can scan. All right, here are the key tenets to my approach to trading. This is the basis of my approach to trading. I believe that options trades and market maker hedging activity are key drivers of price in many stocks and futures. And certainly in the large cap tech stocks, like the Magnificent 7 stocks that I trade and follow, as well as the equity index futures like the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100. And for the S&P 500, SPX is the underlying index. SPY is the ETF version of that index, and the ES contract, ES futures, is a derivative of SPX. And for the NASDAQ 100, NDX is the underlying index. QQQ is the much more liquid ETF version of that index, and the NQ futures contract is a derivative of NDX. And when traders buy and sell puts and calls in SPX and SPY, market makers take the opposite side of those trades. They hedge their delta exposure with ES futures. And for the NASDAQ 100, the same. When traders buy and sell puts and calls in NDX and QQQ, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and hedge their delta exposure with the NQ futures. The focus of my presentation today and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel is options order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as a directional bias. And the second step in my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm a thesis and for setups. And when I talk about setups today, I will be focusing on an underlying asset. Setups in that asset can be taken with futures, shares of stock, or options, depending on the underlying asset and your choice, the way you like to trade. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Doug chat channel as well as the chat and YouTube for your questions and comments. Please feel free to post. I'll do my best to answer your questions. And hello, Stephen. Welcome. Glad you're here. Hello, everyone else. Welcome. Glad you're here as well. All right, here's my agenda for today, Friday, June 7th. First of all, I want to go over news items for today, and then briefly mention a preview for next week. Then I'll go through my positional analysis. Then I'll review some setups from earlier today, and then I'll get to the live market. When I get to the live market, if anyone has any stocks they want me to take a look at, please let me know and I'll be glad to do that. All right, let's start with economic data and events. So today, the big data release for the week was the jobs report at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And that came in greater than expected. $8:30 a.m. jobs report, 272,000. That was greater than expected, also greater than the previous number. And there was a pretty big market reaction to that. This is the ES futures and Bookmap. Looks like a move higher, then a move lower, then all the way down to the lower daily expected move for ES. More about that in a few minutes. So ES, the S&P 500 futures, found support right around the lower daily expected move and has been grinding higher since then. All right, just a preview of next week. Next week, CPI and PPI data both come out. And then the big event for the week is the FOMC meeting with an announcement on Wednesday at 2 p.m. and the press conference beginning at 2:30 p.m. And note that will be in the middle of my webinar on Wednesday. All right, so a big week next week with CPI, PPI, and FOMC. More about that on Monday. All right, so that is the news items. Let's move on to positional analysis. So again, this is the S&P 500 futures in Bookmap. And before I take a closer look at this chart, I want to take a look at a higher time frame. I'm going to take a look at the S&P 500 index, SPX. I'll go through this quickly. We've seen this chart before. This is a one-day chart for SPX in Thinkorswim. 5-month rally began October 30th last year. Correction began this year, April 1st. And then the rally resumed the day after April 19th, monthly options expiration. And the Monday after that is April 22nd. Deep pullback here, and now the rally continues. SPX making new highs. All right, so that is the one-day chart. Rally resumed after April options expiration. Let's take a look at a 30-day 1-hour chart. This is showing that deep pullback to around just below 5,200. And now SPX grinding higher, making a new intraday high. All right, let's take a look at the levels on this chart. First of all, the dashed purple lines are showing the lower and upper weekly expected move. That's based on the options market. That's based on the closing price for SPX from last Friday. Those levels for the weekly expected move remain in place for the entire week. And note that SPX is trading above the upper weekly expected move. And it moved above that level on Wednesday, tested it a couple of times, and then it's now trading firmly above that level. The dashed blue lines are showing the lower and upper daily expected move, also based on the options market. That's based on the closing price for SPX from yesterday. And note I do post both those levels in the Options Dash Deck channel every evening the day before. All right, so SPX still trading below the upper daily expected move. All right, let's take a look at the other levels on this chart, the dark red lines. These are Spotgamma levels that are provided to Spotgamma subscribers. They're available on a variety of trading platforms. Again, this is Thinkorswim. They're also available on Bookmap. I'm going to point out the key daily levels. First of all, here's the put wall at 5,100. That's a strike with the largest net negative gamma that can be expected to act as support. And note that level did move lower yesterday and remains at 5,100 today. All right, the next level up is 5,300. That's the absolute gamma strike. That's a strike with the largest absolute positive and negative gamma. So that's where most of the gamma-weighted open interest is concentrated. And just above that is the volatility trigger at 53.25. That is Spotgamma's proprietary volatility flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure. That tends to enhance or increase volatility, with market makers trading in the direction of price both up and down. Above that level, like SPX is trading now, market makers' position on the gamma curve is positive. In a positive gamma environment, market makers have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. That tends to subdue or decrease volatility. And above that is the call wall at 5,400. That's a strike with the largest net positive gamma that can be expected to act as resistance. All right, so again, SPX trading above the volatility trigger in a positive gamma environment. These levels remained in place, no changes from yesterday. All right, let's wrap up our view of SPX with a 1-minute chart. So this is the trend line I drew on the 1-hour chart. Let's zoom in on just the last couple of days, the dark shaded portions. Showing this upper weekly expected move in play. And note there was a resistance level. We'll see that in just a minute. Acted as support earlier today. And now SPX traded up to this 53.74 combo 4 level. That combines SPX and SPY gamma-weighted open interest into one combined level. This 53.50 level also in play earlier today. That's a large gamma 3 level. Acted as resistance, then support. All right, so those are the spot gamma levels in play for SPX today. And it looks like SPX is just making a series of higher lows. All right, let's go to Bookmap now. In Bookmap, I have my own cloud notes shown in this column here. So I can show SPX levels. For example, here's the 53.25 volatility trigger. I can also show SPY levels on this chart. Here's the SPY 534 volatility trigger. And I'm also showing key ES levels. So here is the upper weekly expected move for ES. And also the lower daily expected move that did act as support. Levels in play. Here's that 53.69 resistance level that was noted as resistance in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note. Excuse me, acted as resistance earlier today. We'll see when we get to the hero signal that that lines up with the Spotgamma implied move, the high of the day. Yeah, so we'll take a look at that in just a minute. So here's that 53.74 combo 3 level, acting as resistance. All right, note there is a difference in price between ES and SPX. And today it is somewhere between 9 and 10. And earlier today, I was using 9. The last time I looked, it was closer to 10. So I changed that to 10. So this $53.69 SPX, I'm showing that at ES 53.79. So it's somewhere between 9 and 10. In fact, it looks like it's about 9.5 now. All right, so there is an offset, ES to SPX offset, and that does get a little bit smaller every day and approaches 0 as the contract rollover approaches. All right, here are the call walls up above. I didn't get the color right for the SPY call wall. So there's the SPX 5400 call wall and the SPY 540 call wall. All right, shifts and levels. Again, SPX, there were none. And for SPY, just the volatility trigger shifted 1 point higher. So no real clues, pretty neutral as far as shifts and levels go for the S&P 500. All right, let's move on to NASDAQ. This is the NQ futures and Bookmap. And I'm going to take a quick look at the underlying index charts. First of all, here's QQQ. This is a one-day chart, or a one-minute chart, showing price action for today. Right after the open, this is just a round number, 462, acting as support. Then later in the day, this 464.8 combo level acted as resistance. Now price is chopping around the 465 level. We'll see what those levels are in just a minute. All right, so that's QQQ for the day. Let's take a look at NDX. The 19,000 level is important. Whoops. Here's NDX showing about 2 days worth of data. This is a 1 minute chart. Showing yesterday and earlier today this 19,000 level, and now prices moved higher up to this 19,097 combo 4 level. All right, let's go back to Bookmap. So in Bookmap, again, I have my own cloud notes. So I can show NDX levels and QQQ levels as well as key levels for NQ on this chart. Before the cash open, the NQ 950 and 461, QQQ 461 volatility trigger acted as support. Then after the cash open, there's the QQQ 462 level. Here's the NDX 19,000 level. Here's that 464.8 combo 2 level acting as resistance almost to the tick. And now NASDAQ continues to grind higher. All right, we'll talk about setups in a few minutes. All right, shifts and levels for NASDAQ. There was only one. For the NDX, the put wall shifted lower, but still high. It's still higher than the call wall. And yesterday, just to point out for QQQ, all 4 key daily levels did shift higher. So that was very bullish yesterday for the NASDAQ. All right, let's wrap up our positional analysis by taking a look at gamma notional. This is market maker's position on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day. It was positive. Market maker's gamma notional. This is for the S&P 500 and NASDAQ. Again, all numbers are positive. This indicates for an index that traders are short calls, market makers are long calls, hence the positive gamma, and they have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. All these numbers, again, are positive, but did shift lower from yesterday. All right, let's move on. Take a look at some setups now. So basically, my thesis for the day, based on the shifts and levels, there were really none. So my thesis, just based on shifts and levels, was neutral. And a lot was dependent on the jobs report and the reaction to the jobs report after the data release. And in this positive gamma environment, looking for either mean reverting price action or a grind higher, which is what is happening today. All right, so that is the positional analysis. Let's move on to setups. I'm going to start with the SP 500, and as always, I'm going to take a look at what options traders have been doing today. So again, starting with the SP 500, this is the hero signal. This is available to Spotgamma subscribers. In this chart, everything that we've looked at so far, other than Bookmap, is based on static data. The levels, that's based on gamma-weighted open interest. Now we're moving on to execution, real-time data. So this is the hero signal, HIRO, hedging impact real-time options. So this is showing options trades and market maker hedging activity. And for this case, for this signal, this is a combined signal of SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures, all into one combined signal. There are two lines on this chart. The white line is price for SPX, and the purple line is the hero signal. A rising hero signal indicates traders are taking positive delta options positions. They're buying calls and or selling puts. And a falling hero signal indicates they are taking negative delta options positions. They are buying puts and or selling calls. All right, what I'm going to do is now switch and take a look at puts and calls independently. That provides definitely providing more clarity today. I'm going to have to jump to another signal, then jump back. All right, just to note also, there are two signals for the SP 500. This is the traditional signal, the one that has been around for quite some time, showing the index options activity. And this is showing the S&P equities options activity, options trades and market maker hedging activity. In the case of this signal, for all 500 stocks in the SP 500. So let's start with this chart, the original chart. I'm going to zoom in, and it provided more clarity in the morning, I thought. All right, so the orange line, the rising orange line, shows that traders are buying calls. When traders buy calls, market makers sell the calls, and they have to buy stock, or in this case, futures contracts to hedge their delta exposure. So the rising orange line, traders buying calls. Note the purple line, also falling, indicates traders are buying puts. That's pretty typical for an index, buying calls and buying puts. And in this case, it's pretty clear that the call buyers were in charge, driving price higher. And note that price reversed lower somewhere just before 1050 as traders, call buyers, took their foot off the gas, started selling calls and buying puts. So at that point, both the orange line and the blue line were moving in the same direction, and that is a very powerful directional indicator. In that case, that was bearish. All right, so bullish in the morning, call buyers, and initially some put sellers. And note also where our price reverses. This is the Spotgamma implied one-day move high, and price reversed right at that level. That was also right around the 53.69 resistance level. All right, let's go to Bookmap now. Go back to ES. I'm going to zoom in. All right, so the move higher began actually before the cash open. Reversal higher just above the lower daily expected move, with ES making a series of higher lows, higher highs, kind of grinding higher. This is the cash open right here, 9:30. Traders started buying calls. S&P grinding higher. The volume dots in Bookmap show market buy minus sell. Green volume dots show more buyers than sellers. And price grinds higher. And remember that peak in the call signal just after 10:30. Aggressive buyers come in, shown by the green volume dots. Rising cumulative volume delta, shown by the dark blue line there. Also the yellow line rising. That indicates buy stop orders help to fuel that move higher, right up to that 53.69 level. Also the Spotgamma high, 1 day implied move high. Then aggressive sellers start to come in. You can see the magenta dots indicate more sellers than buyers. A lot of green volume dots on the way up and magenta volume dots on the way down. And that turned out to be just a deep pullback in the move higher. Aggressive buyers came in. Green volume dots. Note also that large traders were buying this move lower that began around, whoop, that's 12:30. Let's go back to where we were before at 10:30, move higher, price reversed higher, right around 11:30, and continues to grind higher. All right, let's go back and take a look at Hero. So this is the Hero signal for the S&P 500, the index signal. It became pretty choppy after that, after about 11:15, something like that. So let's switch over to the S&P equity signal. And this is, again, the signal for all 500 stocks in the S&P 500. And this has been pretty clear all day. Traders have been selling puts, shown by the rising blue line, buying calls, shown by the rising orange line. You can see that peak here, just like the S&P 500 signal, and then resumed higher right around 11:15. So since then, orange line, blue line moving higher in the same direction, and now it looks like they have, these lines have pretty much flattened out right around 1 p.m. But from 11:15 to maybe 1:15, we're both rising higher in the same, indicating traders were selling selling puts and buying calls. Let's go back to the S&P 500. All right, so now consolidation. As options traders have taken the foot off the gas. All right, let's move on to NASDAQ. Looks like consolidation now too. So the move higher began after that sharp drop in the jobs report. After the cash opened 462, as well as the 18,900 level in Q. Oh, the 19,000, sorry. 19,000 as well as the 462 level, acting as support. Grind higher. Interesting now, a sharp drop lower. Let's see what options traders have been doing. Go back to Hero. All right, let me zoom out. All right, so just like the S&P 500, there are two signals for NASDAQ. The first is showing a combined signal of NDX and QQQ. So this is the index signal. And then there's also the Mag 7 signal, Magnificent 7. What this chart is showing is options trades and market maker hedging activity for a combined signal of the stocks known as the Magnificent 7: Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Tesla. Both lines have been rising higher since about, traders have been selling puts since the open. That's shown by the rising blue line until about 1 o'clock when they took their foot off the gas. Let's zoom in on this. Rising blue line up until about 1 o'clock. So the put sellers now have started buying puts, or at least have stopped selling puts. And then the call buyers began right around 10:30. You can see the same peak. Then around 11:20, orange line, blue line moving in the same direction up until about 1 o'clock. Let's go back, check the NASDAQ signal. And traders have been buying calls in NDX and QQQ all day. All right, let's go take a look at NASDAQ now. Grind higher up to NQ 19,150 until options traders have taken the foot off the gas and aggressive sellers have started to come in. All right, let's take a look at some stocks. All right, the first stock I want to take a look at is ARM. So let's zoom in on the morning session here. So looking at order flow here, there were aggressive buyers at the open. Price broke above VWAP, that's shown by the light blue line there. Pullback entry to VWAP. This first pullback was highlighted by the Market Pulse price change indicator. This is showing a lower extreme, the dark bright red there. And price moved up to the 140 call wall and actually all the way up to 141. Looks like I need to add more lines above. And then reverse lower below the call wall. And let's see what options traders were doing. Let's go back to Hero. Go to ARM. Oops. Going to zoom in on the morning. So from the open, traders were buying calls, shown by the rising orange line, pretty choppy, also selling puts. And note, as price moved up to the 140 call wall, they stopped buying calls and started selling calls, also started buying puts, and now price moved lower. So a quick move higher and reversal around the call wall. Price made it up 1 point higher to 141, then reversed lower. And now is pretty much grinding as options traders have taken the foot off the gas. Note the notional value for both these lines for the day is slightly negative, indicate net for the day they are selling calls and buying puts. Go back to Bookmap. All right, let's move on. Next one, Coinbase. Pretty bullish morning and then a sharp drop lower. Zoom in on this just a little bit. All right, let's take a look at this chart first. Break above VWAP at the open, aggressive buyers shown by the green volume dots. Pull back to VWAP. Deep pullback, then trend break. Then Coinbase started to make a series of lower highs. Note that Coinbase is very highly correlated to Bitcoin, and that's what this line is showing right here. This is the correlation tracker in Bookmap, showing correlation to, I'm using the Bitcoin futures here. And you could use spot Bitcoin as well if you are connected to any one or more of the crypto exchanges. I'm just using the Bitcoin futures. All right, so this correlation to Coinbase correlation to Bitcoin provides a lot of edge here. All right, let's see what options traders were doing. Let's go back to Hero. Go to Coinbase. So note that traders started selling calls right around 10:15. Multiple flow alerts indicating significant options activity. Started selling calls, price moved lower. And then price finally responded as Bitcoin started to move lower. Let's see if there's any more clarity in the total signal. Yeah, this provides more clarity. So now I'm combining calls and puts into one signal. Multiple flow alerts. Price breaks lower, or the hero signal breaks lower. Sorry about that. I'm going to have to zoom. Go to another one. Go back to Coinbase. Traders taking negative delta positions in Coinbase. And price moving lower along with Bitcoin. All right, the next one I want to take a look at is GME. So let's go to Bookmap. All right, so GME, pretty wild. This is showing pre-market starting about 6 a.m. GME traded, let's see, up to, I only have data for today. So for today, and DX feed starts at, my data feed for stocks starts at 4 a.m. So at 4 a.m., GME, GameStop trading up to 64, almost 65 today, then started to drop lower. There were several news items today. First of all, GameStop released earnings. Their earnings release was early today. I think it was originally scheduled for next week, June 11th. They released earnings earlier today, also announced that they were going to sell additional shares. And other than a couple of sharp spikes higher, GME has been moving lower. VWAP, shown by the light blue line, has been falling all day. Well, it looks like I have that 2 key gamma strikes. Let's check and see. Sometimes I don't quite get my levels right on my charts. All right, so 50 is the key gamma strike. That 30 was from yesterday. All right, so here's the hero signal for GameStop. Multiple flow alerts. Oops. Multiple flow alerts at the cash open. Then right around 9:45, traders start taking negative delta positions. Let's see what they were doing. Shift over to puts and calls. I'm going to have to jump to another signal and jump back. So traders are selling calls and buying puts. Note that implied volatility was crazy high yesterday. And at a certain point, traders just can't buy calls anymore. That was what was driving price higher yesterday. I did post that in Discord and Twitter, aggressive call buyers. And at a certain point, again, implied volatility just gets too high and traders start selling calls. So in this case, again, they are selling calls and buying puts from about 9:45. Note there have been multiple halts today. Typically 5-minute halts, multiple halts. And they continue. So GameStop was a nice long yesterday. GameStop driven higher by aggressive call buyers yesterday. And that's it. Looks like it may, who knows, may continue to grind down. All right, so that's GameStop. Let's move on, take a look now at Meta. And for Meta, I thought the total signal provided a little bit more clarity today. So let's take a look at that. I'm going to have to jump back. So pretty much choppy hero signal in the morning. Traders taking positive delta positions. That reverses lower. Right around 10 a.m. started taking positive delta positions again. And that was right around 10:05. Take the foot off the gas about 10:45. Meta consolidates. All right, let's zoom out. And now starts to move higher again. So kind of an up and down hero signal. Let's take a look at Bookmap. Go to Meta. All right, so up and down price action, but grinding higher. Meta making a series of higher highs. Deep pullback entries, that's what you want to look for on Meta. Deep pullback. Confirmed by the market pulse price change, extreme reading, shown with the dark red there. Another pullback to VWAP. Now Meta breaking sharply lower. All right, let's see what options traders are doing right now. Go back to puts and calls. So not much help from Hero here. All right, let's move on. Let's go to Nvidia. Pretty wild day here in Nvidia. And for those of you who may not know, I'm sure everyone does, that Nvidia splits 10 to 1 today and will start trading at 1/10 the price on Monday. Actually, let me... So Nvidia broke out of this wedge pattern from this morning. Right around 11:30, broke out. Broke above VWAP. And moved sharply higher above the 1200 call wall key gamma strike. Now trading below that level. Let's see what options traders are doing. Go to Nvidia. Oh, excuse me. All right, so the hero signal, starting about 9:45, was moving higher. Nvidia chopping around and then broke above the call wall just after noon, and now is moving lower as options traders have shifted from positive delta positions to negative delta positions. And let's shift to puts and calls. I'm going to have to jump to another signal. Note the similarity to the MAG 7 signal. That's pretty typical. So from the open, traders are selling puts, shown by the rising blue line, up until about 1 o'clock. Took their foot off the gas, started buying puts. Rising orange line, traders buying calls, market makers sell the calls. They have to buy stock to hedge the delta exposure. Aggressive buyers, call buyers coming in right around 12:10. A couple of large, almost vertical lines in the hero signal there for calls. Those are large block orders and break price above the 1200 call wall. Now, right now, traders are buying puts and selling calls, and Nvidia is moving lower. Let's go back to Bookmap. And price breaking back below the 1200 call wall key gamma strike. All right, not a lot of great setups today. I didn't think. More choppy price action, and grinding higher in the equity indexes, the S&P 500 and NASDAQ. All right, does anyone have any stocks they want me to take a look at? Let's do a quick check on the... All right, ES broke sharply lower. At that 569 resistance level. Let's go take a look at the hero signal for the S&P 500. Start with the S&P equities. Traders started buying puts starting right around 1 o'clock, and then maybe 20 minutes later started selling calls. Now note the sharp moves lower in both the call signal and the put signal. Very bearish directional indicator. All right, maybe reversing now. Remember, S&P 500 is in a positive gamma environment, and that can often lead to mean reverting price action rather than strong trends and grinding trends higher. All right, let's take a look at the S&P 500 signal. And again, this Spotgamma implied one-day move high, doing a very good job of marking the high for the day. All right, let's go back to Bookmap. All right, again, does anyone have any stocks they want me to take a look at? And Wayne asked, do you expect the 3 o'clock announcement to be a market mover? And Wayne, what announcement is that? Sorry, I may not be up to date. Edmund wants to take a look at AMD. Sure, let's do that. AMD, pretty choppy hero signal here, pretty choppy price action. I'm going to shift to the total signal. Again, pretty choppy hero signal. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. Note for AMD, cumulative volume delta, that's the line on the subchart, has been falling all day. You can see all the magenta volume dots here in Bookmap. Sharp move higher at the open. Price reverses below this 169 level. Pretty much chop. Maybe good for scalping today, but not much of a trend here in AMD. Good approach would be to sell a call spread as price reversed just around the 169 level. All right, let's go back. Let's check NASDAQ now. Sharp move lower. Maybe finding support at this 462, 19,000 level that was support earlier today. Let's go back to Hero, see what options traders have been doing. Check the Mag 7. Hero signal flattens out, then moves sharply lower right at 2 p.m. Give me just a moment. Let me check something. All right, I'm looking for news at 2 p.m. I really don't see anything in my news feed. All right, so pretty clear tell here in the Mag 7 signal. Hero signal flattens out, starts to move sharply lower, price responds. Similar picture for S&P equities. Check the S&P 500 signal. Not as easy a read. Same for the NASDAQ. So this indicates to me that options trades and market maker hedging activity for equities is a more important driver of price than the index options trades this afternoon. S&P equities and Mag 7 signal providing more clarity. All right, so it looks like mean reverting price action for both in a positive gamma environment. And Wayne says consumer credit. I don't know. Is that normally a market mover? All right, Edmund asked, how is the Spotgamma implied one-day move high calculated? That is their proprietary calculation. If you want to know more, I would say go to spotgamma.com. Go to the support center, the resource center. That is free whether you subscribe to Spotgamma or not. And if you are a Spotgamma subscriber, you can also send an email to info@spotgamma.com for more information. So it's not the expected moves that I show are calculated differently. I think the Spotgamma implied one-day high moves are based on gamma levels, whereas the expected moves that I typically show are based on this calculation right here. Price, more or less, price times implied volatility times the square root of the number of calendar days until expiration divided by 365. And I actually get my expected moves just from an options chain in Thinkorswim. Wayne, I really don't expect that to be much of a market mover. Consumer credit, I'm not really familiar with that number. All right, let's go back to Bookmap. All right, so mean reverting price action. NASDAQ finding support at previous support level. Looks like the move lower for the S&P 500 was a little bit deeper. A lot of aggressive sellers on the way down. You can see all the magenta volume dots, the sharp drop in cumulative volume delta, and now aggressive buyers are starting to come in. Again, positive gamma environment, mean reverting price action. All right, last call for stocks. Let's check Nvidia again. All right, now back above the 1200 call wall, key gamma strike. All right, everyone, my time is up. I want to thank you very much for watching. Thanks for your questions and comments. Everyone have a great weekend, and I will see you on Monday. Thanks again. Bye.